Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of the Blue Mug Chat. So happy to be back here after a nice Sunday break. And by the way, some of you actually reached out to me because I didn't do my Sunday show, your online cafe, asking if everything is okay. Yes, everything is fine. Thank you for your concern. Thank you for reaching out. I was just taking a nice Sunday break, but I'm back here with another very interesting topic. And today's topic of conversation is our constitutional rights and responsibilities to make our society, our nation truly democratic. Whenever we think about constitution and democracy, the first thing that comes to our mind is political democracy. But you know what? There is a bigger democracy at play here that actually affects our day to day life, which is a social democracy. It impacts every aspect of our life. It impacts who we are as people, it impacts who we are as citizens, it impacts who we are as neighbors, it also impacts who we are as parents, and we are not even aware of what value it brings to our daily life. And to a certain extent, I think our society is becoming very complacent in terms of our reactions and responses. We don't react unless something happens to us. And a lot of times we don't even react when something happens to us because we have this mindset where we think कि कुछ नहीं होगा. कंप्लेन से कंप्लेन कराने का क्या मतलब है, कुछ भी नहीं होगा. But you know what, something will happen, but we have to do our due diligence. We have to take that first step and leave the rest. So many times I think we have all been in situations where we see somebody breaking the law, but we don't blink an eye. We see somebody being humiliated or abused, but we turn our backs. So many times we see people getting being in unfair situations, and we still don't react because somewhere we think, you know what, it's none of our business. But you know what, it is our business. Unless we make it our business, we won't thrive as a society. We won't thrive as a nation. And today we have just the right person, Vinita Singh, with us, who's going to walk us over our roles, responsibilities towards our constitution in a simpler way, and she will explain to us as to how it impacts our day-to-day life. So let me bring her on the show. Um, it's a very comprehensive topic, and it's not possible for us to cover every article under the Constitution. So we have created a framework, and we're gonna talk about those questions because I think those are the aspects that actually impacts us the most. But if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask them. I will get to them as always at the end of my conversation. So let's bring in Vinita and let's move on with yet another very interesting conversation. Hi Vinita, welcome to
Hi.
the chat.
Hi, very nice to be here and very exciting to be able to do it like this
Yeah,
with you, Sonal. This,
thank you.
these have opened up opportunities that we never thought we would be able to do. So there's something that's coming out of COVID where we're
Yeah,
learning new skills. So yeah, glad to
yes.
be here. And I love I've seen some of the videos here and some of the people that you have interviewed have also been, I know them. And so it's exciting to be able to be part of this. Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Thank you. Let me introduce you formally to the audience, and then we can move ahead with the questions.
Sure.
Vinita is the managing trustee at We the People Abhiyan. She is also a part time development consultant and a full time active citizen. She is a deep believer in democracy and the humanist values embedded in our constitution. Her main focus over the last 20 years has been to build people's capacities to uphold rights and practices responsibilities within our democratic and constitutional framework. Vinita has an education in management from the SP Jain Institute in Mumbai and in social policy from the London School of Economics. And she is a TEDx speaker as well. I've heard your TEDx talk. It was very nice, actually. Very impressive. So, welcome to the show again, to the Blue Mug Chat.
I was thinking of getting a blue mug, but I already had my cup of tea. तो मैंने बोला, छोड़ो अभी.
Chodo. Yeah, too much caffeine is also not so good.
No, 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 really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to the questions, I actually wanted to read out the preamble to the Constitution. Because
Super.
I think the last time I read the preamble was probably in high school or not even. And I'm pretty sure it'll give us some context to what we are discussing today.
Yes.
And also, I think to brush up everybody's memory, it's very important for all of us to at least know what the preamble says about our constitution. So, guys,
Right.
here it is. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. The most important line in this is that we are giving ourselves this Constitution. Before, so when I chose this topic and when I decided to talk to you, and when I spoke to you, and then you guided me through, and then when I was reading, I realized that we maybe subconsciously we are abiding by some rules, but we're
Sure.
not aware of them, and there is so much more to constitution than we have ever thought of. So
Mhm.
I'm so glad that you're here, and let's move ahead with our questions. So
Yes.
to start with the basic as to what I just read, the preamble. So the preamble actually talks about justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So could you
Right.
please explain us in simple terms as to what that means?
Right. So these are, these are core human values. Basically understood that if you are a human being, then these are the values that you hold, dear to this very fact that you are a human being. If you're a human being, for you, liberty is key. You can have everything in the world, all the wealth in the world, but if you're asked to just sit in one room, yeah, and not get out, it's going to hurt you, it's going to affect you, it's going to make your life not the life that we can live. So, and equality, for instance, which is a feeling that I am treated equally with others. I may be different, okay? I may be different, and it's possible that us are we're very different in the way in which we look, etc. But at a fundamental level, I want to be treated equally to somebody else,
True.
right? I may
True.
have less money, more money, whatever, but I come to know if someone is treating me differently from someone else, and it doesn't hurt me here, it hurts me, it's like a gut feeling, right? And maybe you don't come to know also, but the person who's being treated like that unequally comes
Absolutely.
to know. Yeah, it's so these are what is understood worldwide as core human values, and they are the values that actually the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights considered as core. From these values flow those human rights which all human beings must have, irrespective of whether they are in Timbuktu or Thane
True.
or Gurgaon or wherever else. जहां पर भी वो रह रहे हैं, जैसे भी रह रहे हैं, इंसानों को इन मूल्यों की जरूरत है. And
Bilkul.
these rights belong to human beings. So even that, and by the way, the United Nations Declaration was signed in 1948. So imagine we just got our
Yeah.
independence in 47. We are writing this book, which is the Constitution, right from the end of 1946 to 1949, 3 years. Within this time, internationally, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is also being written. So this is something that affected our makers of the Constitution very deeply. That internationally something is being understood as a guarantee of human rights. And if you look at their thinking, if you look at that, you look at this nation, okay, which is not even a nation at that time, in terms of India as the nation that we understood. Yeah, we just had the British going away. You look around and you say, what's common about these people in this nation, right? And I can bet upon it. I don't think they found a single thing that was common. Language, we are very different. How we look, we are very different. Where we stay, we are very different. The religions are different, right? So, what is that one thing that actually unites us? The only thing really, if you look across the country, it's the fact that we are humans, and that for all of us these values will be important. तो उन्होंने वो values के ऊपर ध्यान दिया जो हमें जोड़ते, right? So that is the context of these human values that are in the constitution. Very very clearly justice, being not in terms of the judicial system, but the value of justice, which is fairness. Yeah, that there has to be fairness in the way in which I am treated. Yeah. So that's justice. Equality, and if you look at equality, it doesn't mean being equal, but it means equality of status and opportunity, which actually is understood as equity. That wherever you're born, however you are born, whichever family you're born, whatever it is, आपको opportunities of status and opportunities for your growth and development will be available to you equally. That's what we mean by equality of status and opportunity. And of course, liberty of thought, expression, is a fundamental need of human beings. And fraternity is understood as, of course, a common feeling. So it's not about agreeing. Okay, I think we must understand that fraternity is not about agreeing with each other. It's about understanding that even if we disagree, we have a common either culture or what we might call बहन, जिसको हम बहनचारा भी बोलते हैं, बहनाप्पा बोलते हैं, और brotherhood बोलते हैं. There's this common thread that's binding us. So this is how the values have been looked at in the preamble. And if you just give me a couple of minutes, I'm just sort of binding the preamble together. So with this core of human values at the center of
Vinita, just 1 second.
Yeah.
Just one. Could you increase your volume? Is there a way you can increase the volume from your end? I think. If not, it's fine. But I think if you increase it a tad bit, it would really help.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
Or I don't know if it's just
getting muted.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll come maybe a little closer to the mic. Maybe it'll help.
Huh.
Yeah, is it better?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Right. So just to tie up this, and this is the sort of values that we will uphold. Yeah. But how does it tie up with the preamble? If you look at the way it's phrased, it's talking about we the people of India. So it's nobody else. It's not we the 300 members of the Constituent Assembly. It's not. Okay. It's we the people of India. Yeah. We are constituting India into a certain set of features. Okay. These set of features, and I'll come to it, the set of features are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Okay. These are the features of the nation or the state, as we may call it. Okay. It's the mechanism. But ye mechanism or hum, what are we aiming to do? We are aiming to secure to all citizens these values. So it's an effort. What are we doing? We are securing for all of us these values. That's a critical way to look at it. It means that the state will secure, I will secure, and it will secure for myself also. So that whole securing is a very important word. Here we miss it. Yeah.
Correct.
And with securing these values, I will aim to promote fraternity. It has to be seen in this light. Yeah. So securing is such a critical thing, because from this secure, we move on to all the fundamental rights that are protected for us. And while protecting these rights, we must aim to promote fraternity amongst us all. And of course, you pointed out कि then on this day of 26 November, जहाँ पर हमने ये constitution बनाया था, what we are doing is we are enacting, adopting, and giving to ourselves, which basically means we are putting ourselves on this journey. We haven't arrived, and possibly the goalpost of equality, liberty, etc. will keep shifting. So this is a process we are on. We are committing ourselves to this process and to these values. We are not saying we've arrived. We are saying we are on that path. And therefore, those values are so critical because it shows us the direction. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to sort of add in there.
Right. Now, why is Constitution so important, and how does it impact our daily lives? That is the big question for today's conversation, because a lot of times we don't associate Constitution with our daily life at all, because it looks like something out there, something that some other, a political party is supposed to do, or some MLA or somebody is supposed to do, but us. So please correlate our life to the constitutional principles and framework, please.
In a way that we don't, see this connection. It's the success of the Constitution that we don't see that connection, right? It is, if it's in the times when it doesn't work, or what was said to us doesn't happen, right? That's when we start saying, यार ये तो बहुत बुरा, हाँ ये कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, but actually हाँ मतलब हम ऐसा बोलते हैं और सही है, बहुत चीजें नहीं हो रही हैं, 100% that's true, but because most of the time we feel कि यार सब कुछ तो this invisible protection is available to us, right? That is why we don't see that connection so clearly, right? If we look at it, what we are doing at this moment, talking like this, right? Two women talking with no one looking over our shoulders, right? We are talking our minds, speaking our what we want to do. What is this? This is the protection of the Constitution that you and I are able to do this.
Absolutely.
Right? It is the protection of the Constitution that ensured that somewhere in these 70 years, you and I got the opportunities to stand up for ourselves, and we are in a position today that we are able to have this conversation in a sense with full dignity, right? Correct. That happened because the Constitution put in its center that women and men and other gender will be treated equally, right? That's what made the system work in a way that, and not perfectly, there are many imperfections, right? But it made it work in that direction. Imagine if that was not there. I'm telling you, Sonal, you and I would not have been able to speak.
You're right. Right. Yeah. There is nobody putting a gun to our head, and we are on social media platform where everything is open.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and this access that we've had, right? So all I'm saying is that we don't see that connection because the protection is, in a sense, invisible to us. The protection is not appreciated. It's when the violations happen that we understand that ye nahi ho raha hai, right? And that's when we see the Constitution to use in your, and that's the power of it, right? And so I think one of the things to appreciate is that the protection exists. And the more we start looking at those protections, we will understand how it's connected to our daily life. But more beyond that, I think to understand that, see, the Constitution gives you like any organization. You join an organization, they say, भैया देखिए ये हमारा vision and values statement है. पहले हफ्ते में induction में, this is what you do, right? You spend a week looking at, oh, these are our values, this is our vision. Frankly, this is what it is. It's a one pager, the preamble, which gives you the vision कि हम किस तरफ जा रहे हैं, and it gives you the values you will hold in achieving that vision. Okay, so it basically says we are moving towards a society that will treat all people within this country equally, justly, okay, with full liberties possible, and we are building this fraternity. वो एक direction दे रहा है. So all of us actually are moving towards that. We must move towards that. So it gives you that statement. Now, what it then does, and that's why the Constitution is so important, it gives you the system that will perfectly or imperfectly, it envisages a perfect system, but the implementation of it may not be the way it is. It says that to achieve that society, this is the system we will have. It's a system of law that will follow, which will help us move towards that, right? Because society needs that organizing, right? And we are in a society with many norms. It says आपकी सोसाइटी इस तरीके से चलेगी और धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़ेगी, लेकिन at any point if you need to question, at any time if you need to move away from your societal norms, or you want the protection that society is not giving you, then you have this system of law that will help you. Okay, so you can debate, dialogue, etc. But if at a point you need the protection of law, then the system of law will be over and above all individuals and over and above any hierarchies in society, over and above family hierarchies. The system of law will prevail for all of us. Now, that is a huge guarantee. Okay. For example, if I cannot study further, my parents are not enabling that, or my parents say that अभी आप कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं करेंगे, चलिए शादी कर दीजिए. Then I may ask them, I may talk to them, I may discuss with them. They may agree. So then it's fine. But if they don't agree, right, and I want to study further, right, I can start to use that system of law to say I'm not being able to do what I want to do. I cannot be married before 18. Even when I'm married, there is this system of consent. I need to be able to, मेरी जो जबरदस्ती शादी हो रही है now, of course you don't want to sort of go into this family thing, and you want to be able to solve issues, by discussion, and that is available. But all I'm saying is that backbone is there. If suppose that the societal norms are either not helping you or something. So there's a structure, there's a state that's meant to help you, and most importantly, it's the protection of fundamental rights which the state is guaranteeing me. No other person guarantees me. That guarantee is available with the state. So that system which is available, and I just want to mention the fact that as a system we have taken electoral democracy as our system, which means that each one of us is meant to have a voice. Okay, it may not work perfectly, but that's a critical way in which this entire mechanism is working. So all these things that are around us, which are natural to us, those elements are given by the Constitution, and they are meant to work. And finally, we the people give it to ourselves that we are meant to be making it work. That's really how it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's the importance.
You brought up a very interesting point, and I was going to ask that question. It was in my mind, but I think I'm going to ask that now because it's very relevant. You say that, just as an example, if there is a child who doesn't want to get married, and there is family pressure on her to get married before 18, she has the right to exercise that fundamental right that she has. That she, there are two questions here. One, I would really like you to, tell us what the basic rights for women are, because a lot of us are not aware, which everybody should know, or every woman should know, dealing with on a daily basis. Secondly, yes, the framework exists, but somewhere I think the trust factor has gone down significantly. Because knowing is one thing, and the implementation of the law, in terms of supporting the citizen, if somebody actually launches a complaint, is a completely different aspect
Yeah.
altogether. And somewhere that trust has gone down, right? So I think there are two questions combined in here. One, would love to hear some of the basic rights that every woman should know about, and secondly, what can we do to actually make it work, make that framework work?
So I totally accept, understand that that's what is really happening and happened as well. I think that in terms of, women understanding that the entire structure of fundamental rights, which is equality before law, the, equality related rights, the freedom related rights, our freedom of religion, all those rights are available to us. Rights against exploitation are available to us. So as women, basically, we are really on par in that sense. Yeah. Just to say also that we were one of the first, I mean, perhaps the only country at that time for sure, where women and men got the right to vote at one time, equally. Okay. America had not done it. I think women got
Yeah.
the right to vote 130 years after men
Yes.
got the right.
Yes.
UK had not done it. Women really had to fight to get this right. Okay, but while the constitution was being made, it was thought that पहले कुछ लोगों को right देते हैं, फिर कुछ लोगों को देते हैं based on literacy. And you could have imagined, we were at 6% literacy for women, so women wouldn't have got it. But on the basis of equality, all people got the right to vote. So, really speaking, all those rights are our rights. Okay. But there is a special, the Article 15, which is that there will be no discrimination on the basis of gender. That is a very empowering right for all women, because it does two things. First, it says that if at any point I feel that I've been discriminated on the basis of my gender, right, I actually can approach the Supreme Court for it, for the fact that I feel that this protection was not made available, right? The second thing that happens is, because this right is there, now the right exists in the Constitution, right? I mean, wo to hai, wo likh diya. But what is the system that flows from that right? There are many laws that flow from that right, right? So Equal Remuneration Act, it flows from this right. Matlab, the laws give teeth to that right, right? So there is the Equal Remuneration Act that came into being because the state had to ensure
Given.
that that right is protected. Now, so the second thing available to me is all those rights that all those laws that ensure that I have an equal status and opportunity, those laws must work in my favor, right? And I can approach, because that law will tell you that if this is not done, who can you complain to? What is the procedure of complaint? What is entailed for you to get that right? So the Kanun will tell you, the law will tell you, Equal Remuneration Act tells you what you are meant to do if that act is not working, right? So I'm saying that we have the protection of right, which we can directly actually approach the Supreme Court if we feel that there's a like an aghat hui hai, just yeah. The second is all these laws that are in place for us, because we are women and we have certain biases that come in because of the, in terms of the opportunity. So for instance, domestic violence, dowry, these are social practices that prohibit our status and opportunity being accessed, Correct? So all these are protected by various laws. I mean, there's a gamut of laws protecting us. Okay, so that's a very important thing for us to know. And these laws, actually, the problem is that the more we don't use these laws, the quicker they fail. The more we use extra legal methods, okay, the more we don't use the mechanism available to us. It's like this: if you don't use a house that's available, you just,
Yeah.
dump it, you visit it once in a while, one big incident, one woman goes out there and does. If this is going to be not the normal, but it's going to be, hey, once in 5 years this woman did, and wow, this woman, if it's going to be the fringe, the system will not work. If you're going to visit a house that you have, abandoned for some time, you are not going to be finding it in a situation that you can live in, right? It's as simple as that. The more people use it, the more it will work for you. And I mean, it's plain. Like, how do I say? I know it's tough. But we can't leave it to a few women taking that battle. We can't leave it. It's not left to activists. No, not at all. It's sad that it's left to activists. Yeah, the more we are going to take control of these laws for ourselves, the more that law will work for you. And unfortunately, we've tried every extra constitutional method in our lives so that we don't have to, use this law. So it's something that I think we've done to ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point that you've raised, which we don't even think of, that unless and until you use something, the mechanism wouldn't even build. So maybe, the first time it will be an impossible situation to deal with. Second time onwards, it may get a little better. Third time onwards, but when there is a mass using it, then that mechanism better be in place, because otherwise, we are still a democratic country, and so that's a very good point. We need to do our due diligence, our fair share of work to get those mechanisms in place that have been granted to us by the Constitution. थोड़ी मेहनत हमें भी करनी पड़ेगी actually. And a lot of times you're right, we actually leave it to some NGO. कि अच्छा, you see somebody, a women getting abused, domestic violence, especially in a lot of household help. They go through a lot of this. Somewhere I think we feel कि कोई एक NGO है वो तो कर रहा होगा. We don't actively involve ourselves in making sure that let us do it. That mindset is somewhere missing here. So talking about that, Vinita, what are our responsibility towards our own constitution to make our society and our country more democratic?
So, I mean, it flows from here. Now, the thing is that, it would have been very nice if we would have chosen, like, let's say, a dictatorship, okay, for a system for us, which means that somebody makes the law, that person can decide how the law will work, whether it will work for a few people, more people, yes people I love, people I don't love, वो एक बंदा एक बंदी डिसाइड करता है, ठीक है. वो भी हो सकता था, क्यों नहीं हो सकता था, लेकिन हमने, we chose a democratic system, okay. Now this is a system for hardworking people, okay. Nobody tells us that. I don't know how we've got it in our heads that we have this constitution, we have this democracy, and pata hai kya, it should work.
It should work, yeah.
I don't know who told us this or who didn't tell us that, what, this is the most difficult system. It's the easiest way to give it to someone else. But please remember that if we would have done that, then it would have favored who that person would like to favor. If we want a system that is working for all, which we have, right, which puts the citizen at the center of everything, then hey, the citizen has to work. I mean, पता नहीं किसने हमको बोला यार ये आसान है. I want to go back to my childhood and think, when did my mom tell me it's easy? Did my conversation with me? I don't know. But somebody should have sat me down and said, you know what, Vinita, there's a system that will work for you. But you have to make it work.
Yeah.
Okay? And somebody has to tell our children that. We have to tell our children that welcome to this country. It's bloody hard work. If you like it, stay here. If you don't, find a way out. Because हमने इतनी हार्ड वर्किंग चीज अपने लिए रखी है. So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is treat this like a job. It's not Vinita's job. I have many people say, अरे यार ये काम है, वो सड़क खराब है, वो लाइट नहीं चल रही है, विनीता को फोन करो. I mean, I'll do it for my lights. I will do it for, sector 50. Maybe I can think of doing it. I can think of golf course extension road because I live there. But why must I think of your roads? It's your roads. Think of it, right? So I think first of all, to understand that, I think that, willy-nilly, this is a system which makes you work. So you've got to work. I think that's one. Yeah, wake up to that. I think that's one, very important. Second, I think the important thing is that, I heard someone saying, it was in different context, that if you don't blow your trumpet, nobody else is going to blow it for you. And you don't blow your trumpet so loud that people will get hurt. Okay, it was in a branding context, but I thought it was important from a rights context. Okay, if you don't stand up for your own rights, people will help you, but really the standing up has to be done by you.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but you have to do it. You have to learn the skills to do it, right? And the second is, my right ends where the other person's right starts, right? So when I speak, I must speak my mind as much as I want. When I want to talk about my religion, I must do it as much as I want. But I need to know that someone else has exactly the same right as me, which is why I must respect the other person's right and they must respect mine. I think if we understand, it's a simple concept, my right exists, I must fully use this, but where it stops is where my hand stops, then I need to respect somebody else's right. So I think that is something that as a principle, if we can understand, then it's easier for us to get on, both to take access of my rights and to recognize that everyone else has the same right as you. So if I don't like someone, what they are saying, you have the right to disengage, right? You have a right to disagree, but you don't have the right to say that they can't say it, right? As long as it's done with some amount of respect and dignity for the other person, because that's our other value that we hold, correct? I think that was one. The second is, for instance, to me, the ensuring that the state protects our rights is a very important thing, which means that we have to question when the state is not meeting the laws that it has made, right? We have to question, right? We have to question why in Uttar Pradesh, and even we may not sit in Uttar Pradesh, but we have to question why police did not follow their own law when it comes to how somebody who's a criminal or not, or a victim, needs to be treated. It's written in law. And if they haven't followed it, we must question it. And it's not a matter of they are in Uttar Pradesh, we are we are sitting in Gurgaon. If it is not followed there, it means that it may not be followed where we are. So if we have to protect the rule of law, it must apply everywhere. And unfortunately, we respect the law, we use it, we use the system when it comes to us, but when it comes to somebody else, we say jala do, maar do, kaat do. Okay, we are angry, we understand that. But if we want the law to work, it has to work for everyone, irrespective of where they are. So I'm sorry, but what's happened in Hathras, we need to be concerned because the state represented by the police have not followed their own law, and we must be alert to it because it will happen anywhere else then. right? And if I want it to protect me, then it has to protect somebody else. So I think understanding the law, many of us, we think कानून बहुत मुश्किल है. इतना भी मुश्किल नहीं है. You know, if we can learn how to do this, what we are doing, if we can learn so many things around new skills, it's a skill. Just learn how to be able to read a law. You possibly don't even need a lawyer to do that, right? So know the law, follow the law, understand law, accept law, think of it as something that protects all of us. You know, smell the coffee or the tea as whatever you're drinking. So it's like that. And I think we must engage with the state, right? The legislature, the judiciary, these are available to us. Let's engage with them. We need to file complaints. We need to help them see what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. हमारा जिम्मेदारी है कि हम उनको बताएं कि वो क्या चीज अच्छी कर रहे हैं, नहीं कर रहे हैं. I think these are our responsibilities, and that's why it takes time. It takes time. मेरे पास time नहीं है ये करने का is not an excuse. You know, you look after your family, you look after things around you. Yeah. Sorry, I've spoken too much.
No, it's so there is a lot to talk about actually. You know, it's such a comprehensive topic that, and there is so much we can cover. So, you know, this platform is all about that. You know, somewhere, Vinita, I also feel that there's a level of distrust in people.
Yeah.
Because of how our bureaucracy works. Let me just put it that way, right? So there is that hesitancy, and because of that hesitancy, there is you know, that complacency that has set in amongst people. Because हमें नहीं लगता कि हम कुछ difference, like we don't feel like कि हमारे करने से कुछ difference होगा. Because ये भी नहीं लगता कि हम अगर कोई complain करेंगे तो वो it will reach the right person, or you know, the law will actually do something about it. So what message can you give out to the citizens out there so that there is a slight difference in the mindset, and that complacent behavior changes and we become more responsible and responsive towards the events that are happening around us?
Yeah. So I think, you see, the thing is that if we feel about even one thing, okay, one thing, it could be me, it could be some friend of yours if you feel about something, right? It could be anything, right? I think if we start to see what law is available for that protection, right? If we start looking at it, right? We learn so many things. We learn how to do, you know, I don't know, programming. I don't know what. We're learning things all the time, new recipes. I don't know everything, right? We learn it because there's a need. Now, understanding what law is protecting that particular मुद्दा हो गया है, ठीक है? उसको क्या protection मिलनी चाहिए? If we start just unpacking that law, the law tells you what will happen, what you need to do, where you need to complain, how you can complain, what service you can expect in that, who is the officer. It tells you that, right? You need to be able to study it. We are only scared of it because we haven't engaged enough.
Yeah.
We don't know. That's why. And lack of knowledge is the fear, right? There are other fears. I'm not discounting that. I'm just coming one by one. One is that we don't know enough. So what's you tell your child, right? You're scared of math. What do? You do sums. Right? What is the only way to get this fear out? Either you give up math, right? Or you do the sums, correct? If we are fearing lack of knowledge, then you gain that knowledge, and it's not that difficult, right? So I think understanding the law when there's an issue that concerns you, your family, your friends, start to learn it. I think that's an important thing that we need to do. Second is appreciate that these 70 years, I don't know how many millions of people, men, women, transgender, have used the system to make it work. I think we need to appreciate. We are reading a whole lot of stuff where things don't work, and they don't. I totally give that. But we are sitting on 70 years of people who have, I mean, heritage school kids have done it. Okay, they've sat together, filed complaints, made the lights on their road leading up to school work. Kids in other places have done it. I have done it. Others have done it. Millions of people have made the municipal corporation of Gurgaon work. Okay, not millions there, but millions in the country certainly have made their municipalities work. Millions at this time in panchayats are making their panchayat work, which is why this country is working in some way or the other, because people are making it work. Let's appreciate we are sitting on heaps of people whose efforts are there. Let's not discount that. And so you have to join that. That's what I think. If you have a problem, let's join it. Then third thing is there are people available who will help you. You're not alone, right? You're not alone. There are people out there who are saying, you know what, this is your issue, read this, do this, go there, that didn't work, try this. Okay, so there are people who are wanting to help you. I think that's the other thing that we must realize, and accepting that it is going to be little bit difficult. You're going to have to give your time, but hey, if you want a neighborhood that works, if you want your family, in your family issues, some of the issues are addressed. If you want that education is available in a certain way, you have people whom you care for, people who work for you and they have a problem. इतना time तो निकालना पड़ेगा. I mean, we'll have to take out some time, make some effort. We do it all the time. And I just want to say that we are doing it all the time. I mean, this is not some rocket science. We are helping our people who help us. So if we just extend that to saying that yes, it will take a bit of time, it will require me to learn a few more skills, but it's worth doing that. If more and more people do that, I can't imagine your municipal corporation not responding to you. It's not possible.
So I think it all boils down to making that effort. Once we make that effort, I think the steps will unfold in front of us. I think you're right. It's that fear of unknown, the fear of unknown, especially in terms when it comes to the law, when it comes to our civil rights, mainly, which we are not aware of. We are at era where we are actually reaching Mars. So I guess, as you said, this is not even rocket science. If we can come this far, I'm pretty sure by just making that extra effort, we will make our own society, community, nation a much better place to thrive. And also, I think it works both ways, right? The moment the other end sees that there is an effort, they will also start responding in a better way.
Exactly. That other fear you're talking about, which is of, you might get, there is a fear, and there's a fear of being misunderstood, mistreated, your dignity not being in place. There are so many fears. We've reached a place where people are respectful of us. You go to a government officer and they don't even, it may be that they say, "Jao yaar, yahan se tum kya aaye ho?" And suddenly you're confronted with saying, "My God, somebody is not treating me properly," right? You're not even talking. I'm not saying they do that, but it's a chance that you might.
There is a chance,
There's a chance, okay? Now, what happens is and there's a fear of retribution. Sometimes, the system might suddenly also, come against you. So there is a fear. I'm not discounting it, right? But the more people are doing that, that the fringe doesn't feel that it will be like the fringe doesn't feel fearful, right?
Fearful, yeah.
It's the numbers. If the numbers increase, if all of the city comes together and says, you know what, on the basis of equality, disabled people need the same access as we have, right? If lots of people come together and do it, why would it be that you're not listened to? You will have to be listened to. It'll take time, but it will be listened to. And because you're this mass of people who are going there, Why will one person be singled out? I think you've got to think of it rationally and accept that थोड़ी मुसीबत होगी, थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन अगर तुमको एक सिटी और कम्युनिटी ऐसे बनानी है तो भैया लगेगा.
हमें ना इन प्रोसेसेस की ओवरऑलिंग करनी है एक्चुअली. बेसिकली यू नो उनमें ना रखी रखी जंग लग रहा है. एंड थ्रू आवर एफर्ट हमें वो ओवरऑलिंग करनी है ताकि वो प्रोसेस रन करने लगे. वो सबके लिए अच्छा होगा एक्चुअली. हमारे लिए एज सिटीजन्स तो हमारे लिए बहुत ही अच्छा होगा बिकॉज once it starts functioning, it's functioning. That's it, you know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it sounds so doable when you actually talk about it. And you're right. If not alone, take somebody along. Go as a group. Go as a community. Go as you know, because yeah, more the voice, the better the response would be probably. Yeah.
I mean, at We the People Abhiyan, the organization that I work with, all the time we are training citizens to do it.
Yeah.
It's a skill to be able to do it. पर्चा लिखना, application देना, municipal corporation की website को navigate करना, these are skills. And we are constantly helping people in rural areas and urban areas learn these skills.
True.
You know, let's assume we've got to get better at it. So that's all we do. We only train citizens to do that. Imagine, that's my day. Like, this is my 8-10 hour job.
Yeah.
But we'll do it. We'll get there. Man, there's lots of time. We will do it.
Yeah. And how do you play your role as active and a responsible citizen, Vinita? Because you know you know the law. You have been there. You're out there training people, and I'm sure you implement that yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't be that passionate about it. So, how do you do it?
Well, वही ना, जंक नहीं लगना चाहिए. So I work on various issues. I mean, for instance, so you know, I'm very passionate about some couple of causes, which I'm saying, you know, if everybody thinks of one cause, तो देखिए कितना मजा आएगा और कितनी सारी चीजें हो पाएंगी. So I am very, very interested in the well-being of Gurgaon, and for me, that is seen as the Aravali being protected. You know, we are so lucky. You know, I come from Mumbai and we had these patches of green, but we are so lucky to have the Aravali just at our doorstep. And I am committed to doing whatever we can to protect the Aravali. So, you know, reading up various acts that protect it, reading up about acts that might destroy parts of the Aravali. As a citizen, I'm engaged on that, also with other many citizens. Okay, so it's a wonderful group of people that works on that. So I feel that I'm really, you know, putting my weight behind this cause wherever I can. So I think that's something. Plus, you know, there's things like, you know, do we have enough cycle tracks or not? You know, is there enough happening around us in a way to make Gurgaon a better place? I'm quite committed to that. You know, there are many issues that come up that people might need some help on, and I'm always making myself available to do that. So I follow the same process which I just said. If there is an issue, use the legal framework behind it, and use all various methods, including, you know, talking to officers, talking to the government, filing petitions, do all that, talking to them also, and talking to other people. I think I do a lot of that. I'm hoping as much as I can, I do that. And then I have this, you know, family which is constantly questioning me. I have a son and a daughter. Can you imagine that living these values of equality, liberty? It's very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah.
Right.
Helping my mother understand these values when it comes to, you know, how do you look at property, and, you know, all that. It's within your home that practicing values is so difficult. It is easier to go and stand in front of municipal corporation and go to the you know, the councillors and say hamari ye mang hai. But try to do it with a 16-year-old in your home, or
True.
listen to the 16-year-old telling you what unki kya mange hain. So living these values on a day-to-day basis is about interacting with everyone and trying to estimate which value is at stake over here. and how do you negotiate this value with your children or your husband or your, either way, your spouse, right? So yeah, I do a lot of that. I don't succeed many times, but I
Well,
try.
I think effort is what counts.
Yeah, yeah.
We have one question here. I'm just going to
Yeah.
quickly. So he's saying Jiten Singh ji is saying that he's heard a lot of rhetoric on the topic since 26th of Jan 1950. What is in store here? So I guess what was in store here is connecting the dots between the constitutional rights and responsibilities to our daily life, basically, and as to how we as citizens can bring about that change in making the system work, in making the process work, in making the mechanism work, because on a daily basis, we are not thinking about the constitution. And because we had this topic, we had this conversation, I'm sure a lot of audience who have joined us today will some of it will register, and next time something happens, I think we will actually act, and at least we
Yeah.
will have these thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think bring the rhetoric into practice. That's what
Yeah,
it's about.
yeah,
Why is it rhetoric? Why is it rhetoric? Because we think it's out there. Yeah,
yeah,
but when your one of your friends or others are dealing with a dowry issue. I'm just speaking from a women's perspective at the moment, but it doesn't need to be
yeah,
that. Or one of your, any one of you around us is dealing with something, then that rhetoric has to move to practice.
correct.
And the more you practice it, the less it becomes rhetoric. I think that's the only thing. 70, and I think understanding that a lot of people have moved from the rhetoric into practice,
Yeah,
catch up,
yeah,
right? This whole, I can give you, I don't know how many examples of people who have used the system to their benefit in addressing issues of rights violations. How many people, right? Just because we don't hear of them doesn't mean they're not there. We're actually sitting on those efforts. So catch up with them is what I'm saying. Move from the rhetoric into the practice.
yeah. And no better person to talk about this issue than you, who's actually put this into practice, and that's why you're here, and that's why we are here, because many people can talk about it, but there are few who talk about it and put that into action, and that's why Vinita is with us because she has the conviction to talk about it, because she does it also. That's
And
what
I'm
makes.
saying, I don't want to be few anymore.
Yeah,
I'm saying you have to
absolutely.
join,
Yes.
right? Why should we be few?
Why should you be
Who
few?
has joined
Absolutely.
you?
So
Yeah.
everybody who's listening out here, I'm pretty sure we all have one thing that's not working, and we have been sitting on it forever because we don't want to move, we don't want to file a complaint, launch this, go to the MCG or whatever. After this show, please make that effort. Go do the needful. There is a lot of information available online, because when I started digging into this topic, I realized there is so much out there that we can do, which will actually help us, because now everything is coming out to be online. The good part about
Yeah.
social media and internet
Yes.
is that a lot of it is online.
By the way, the MCG has a great website. Huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Try,
They have a
look
very
at
good website.
something. Yeah. And they have
Correct.
a very good system of redressal because they call you, try to close the complaint. So, it may not work, right? It
Yeah.
may not work the first time. Maybe it won't work. The success is not guaranteed, but guaranteed that you will not get success if you don't use it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the obstacles in the rural areas is not having access to technology.
Yeah.
But in my experience, I go to Uttarakhand a lot, and I've seen that those gram panchayats and the
Yes.
gaon pradhan, they actually work a lot. You go
Yes.
to them with a certain complaint, then from the pradhan, I don't know what the process is, but the pradhan, the panchayat, that network works beautifully, by the way. They may not have as much access to technology as we do, but it definitely works. So again, it's just a matter of us making that effort, reaching out to the people responsible to make the mechanism work. Um, with that, I think we're coming to the end of the show. Is there anything that I have not asked you, Vinita, that you would like to tell the viewers?
No,
Or I
I
think we've
think
covered
बहुत
pretty much
बातें हो
everything.
गई.
Okay, ठीक है. Thank you so much. It was, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with you, and really, it makes a difference. A lot of times what happens is we may know something, but when you hear it, it registers, and it gives you that extra push to make that change. So I'm so glad that you spoke so beautifully, so candidly, so passionately about the Constitution, which otherwise could be a very boring topic, by the
Yeah.
way.
I'll
But
just show you the copy.
yeah,
This is my spiel that I do. Sorry, the last thing, but
yeah.
keep this, right. It's available on Amazon,
What is
different
this? The
colors.
Constitution.
The Constitution of India.
The
That's the
Constitution.
copy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
really speaking, if it's around, maybe your children might want to look at it. You might want to look at it. It's available in lovely colors, and it's available on Amazon, just like many other
okay.
things that you buy from there. So yeah, so
Yep.
not that big also. So use karo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. This is just Sonal signing off. See you all this Sunday. I'm back on this Sunday on your online cafe, and we are picking up a very good topic for all of you. And watch this space. Thank you. Good night. See you around.
Thank
Bye.
you very much for having me. Bye.
Bye.